Hey, I'm pissed. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm so pissed off right now. I had started this video. I was 8 minutes into this video, and since I do this all in one take, I totally forgot to turn off my alarm. And since I'm using my phone, whenever the alarm goes off, it stops whatever it is I'm doing on the video. So all those wonderful nuggets and all that stuff, since my memory, as again, is not all that great, I lost. However, welcome to day 4. How seeking positivity is not conducive to getting through depression. Okay. So, pretty much, I actually had to take notes on this because I want to make sure. Look at these notes. Look at these notes. I got it right for this one because honestly, there have been so many different thoughts and people I've listened to and things I've heard that I wanted to get right. So, before we do that, I'm actually going to tell you, where I got these ideas from, this general overarching idea from. My sister, Sabrina Rojek, she is a therapist and a family therapist, sex therapist, and me and her have had plenty of talks. A lot of the ideas that I've had have been formed partially and a great deal too, actually, because of my sister. So basically, in covering this, we actually get to cover a little bit of what she actually talks to me about and what she tells me I need to do. And I'm so glad that, I can say, hey, I understand it now, and I understand it enough to say it to somebody else. Okay? Even though I struggle with it on in the practicum of it all, like practically doing it, doing the whole physical aspect of it, the mental aspect of it, it's difficult, but I get the concept now. And that is very, very important. Just saying this in general. Doing these videos, like to throw a disclaimer out there, everything here is subjective, you know. Um, it's not about being right or wrong. It's not about uh, getting in this kind of person or that kind of person, this school of thought or that kind of school of thought. This is about me telling you, in the midst of depression, what I feel can work. Because going back to another person who I will reference heavily, Mark Manson, I can admit and say that I may not be right in a lot of what I'm going to say to you. However, being right or wrong, especially things like this, is subjective. So my truth may not be your truth, and that's fine. Your truth may not be my truth. There's this one lovely commenter that I've had on two of my videos, and the things that he or she, I'm sorry, I don't know if you're he or she, does isn't something I've done before, but doesn't mean that's any more or less effective. This is just sharing ideas. So I looked into Sabrina, Mark Manson. I've talked about briefly. He wrote this wonderful book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which was mind blowing and life changing, and I recommend everybody read that. He also has a blog called markmanson.net, and I'll probably have that in the description down below just so you can check it out. It's amazing. I love it. Another person who I've borrowed heavily from is the Buddha for this one, because his main idea is our desires cause us suffering. And if you're desiring to be happy, you're going to suffer. Just that simple. And the last one is Ryan Holiday, who branches into Stoicism. So basically, the schools of thought here that I mostly deal with are Stoicism and Buddhism. Those inform, my life. Again, like you saw in day 1, I had that Stoic journal. Those inform my life, and they inform me on how I should go about things. And again, I do mess up, I do stumble, because obviously I have not beaten depression yet. But it does make life easier having those two things to focus on and say, hey, what would they do? What would Sabrina do? What would Mark Manson say? What would Ryan Holiday say? What would the Buddha say? Serena, girl, damn, you a real good company. Go, girl. Anywho, and of course, the last one is the Buddha. Buddha, Ryan Holiday, Stoicism, Mark Manson, Sabrina. So, back to the topic at hand. Seeking a positive experience is a negative one. That is the overarching theme here, and it's the backwards law. And when they say the backwards law, that pretty much means, say for instance, I have a temper problem. It's not for instance, I do have a temper problem. I have a nasty temper. People tell me, used to tell me all the time, you're angry, you're negative, you're pissy, you're moody. Okay. And so that is considered to be a negative thing. Here's what will happen. Here's the train of thought and what will happen. You're angry, you're negative. Fine. I'm gonna stop being angry and negative. I'm gonna make that, I'm gonna put that out there. I'm gonna stop being angry and negative. I'm gonna be positive and happy. Okay. Goes well for a little bit. Awesome. So I'm like, yeah, I got it, good. Then something happens that I don't like. Then I get angry. Okay. Or then something happens again that I don't like, that, it's a really bad experience, and then the negativity part comes back again. And now I'm back to the beginning again, where I'm saying I want to stop being angry and negative. And I want to change my reactions are, not the way I want them to be. And now I'm angry because I got angry, and now I'm angry because I got negative. And it's something that's called the feedback loophole from hell, which is something Mark Manson covers in one of his blogs. Basically, what that is and what that's saying is, all of these things that we want don't work the way we want them to because we're not focusing on the right thing. Instead of not being angry or not being negative, we could say, hey, I want to learn how to deal with things that upset me. Because again, most things when you're angry or when you're negative, they're rooted in a fear. Period. We've discussed that before. That's just what it is. And the more you pursue these feelings, especially things as subjective as happiness, because you don't know that, because whatever that looks like for you, or things like success, or things like positivity, the more you pursue those feelings, the worse you're going to feel when you don't meet them. So if you're going to set those kind of expectations, be realistic, first and foremost. And honestly, pursuing it just reinforces that you don't have it. And again, that kind of mindset is like, okay, I don't have it, but I want it, and I could want it. And that's a good thing, to want something that's better, or that you feel is better for yourself. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, you can't negate the fact that the negative is still there. This also comes back into what, Carl Jung called the shadow self. I hate to break it to people, but people that like to focus on the positives like to accentuate only their good traits. For instance, I find myself to be very funny, and to be very intelligent and very articulate. However, that doesn't change the fact that I have a temper. That doesn't change the fact that I'm a bit of a slob. It doesn't change the fact that when people piss me off, I want to slap the piss out of them. It doesn't change the fact that I have all of these things to me. Good, bad, however you want to look at it. Everybody has all these good or bad qualities to them, whatever. But at the end of the day, actually, truthfully, you're not good, you're not bad, you're not moral, you're not amoral. You just are. If you're good or you're bad, if you're negative, you're positive, that's actually a very subjective way of thinking. Like this video, like these videos, like this series. It's all subjective. You just are. And that's it. So how you choose to look at things is your business. That's your prerogative. But you just are. Okay? So think about that a little bit as well. I know I was going to get to Carl Jung today too. Damn, I'm killing the game. Woo! Anywho. So when dealing with positives and focusing on positives, our biggest teachers are always going to be our negative experiences. Going back to actually when I fractured my elbow, I lost my temper, I slipped and fell, fractured my elbow in 3 places. Had I not lost my temper, had I not slipped and fell, I wouldn't have met a cool person who I'm hoping will become a really good friend. I would not have tried to keep my temper a little more in check. I would not have got to go to Portland, Maine for the first time. Had I not been to that mental hospital, had I not had my boyfriend dump me, had I not, which hurt my feelings, had I not lost my car, lost my job, lost my weight, lost my figure, lost my mind, lost all those things, I would not have known what kind of fighter I was. I would not have known what my mettle was, that I could do so much, that I could move heaven and earth if I chose to. I would not have known that. I would not have gathered that. That was the lesson I needed to learn to get ahead. Okay, it's like saying, oh, I'm just gonna focus only on the positives, ignore the negatives. But the negatives is where we grow. Like Ryan Holiday says in his book, the obstacle is the way. The obstacle is the way. If you're having all these negative things, these negative experiences, that is where you're gonna do your most growing. We learn because of difficulties. We don't learn because things are easy. Okay? And pursuing the easy, positive route tells me that you have an entitled mindset, that you think you are entitled to be happiness, and that your ego is telling you that I don't deserve to have these negative experiences, so it's better to ignore them. But the thing is, if you notice people who only focus on positives, when they're confronted with the negative, they run, which doesn't help them in the long run, because honestly, no matter go back to Carl Jung and the shadow self, you can run from all the negative things you want. It doesn't stop them from being there. You know, they can't handle the negative. They get overwhelmed. They freak out, and they're not equipped to deal with anything outside of this little sphere, this little bubble that they put themselves in. So they're boxing themselves in. You know, we can put all the positive, wonderful affirmations and things like that in the world that we want, saying, oh, we're going to be this, we're going to be that, whatever. But if we're not having something to pull back, to give that pushback, to make us learn, to make us appreciate and get it, it's not going to work. Pretty much, in order to have a positive mindset, or you have to have experienced negative. You have to appreciate that negative. Okay, for me, this is one of the hardest lessons I've ever had to learn, that I'm learning, and we're going to get there. But also because of that, this is actually my favorite video thus far that I've done, because it encompasses so many different thoughts, so many different philosophies, and it all comes back to the same thing. One thing that my sister told me that I always thought was prevalent was just be. You know, when something bad happens, you could, positive, negative, whatever, you are in that moment. You need to make the decision that what's best for you, not just in that moment, but long term. Like, if you get into a car crash and you fuck all your shit up, what is the best thing you can do for yourself? Just be in that moment. Be present. Be in that moment to make this decision. Instead of saying, oh, well, got into a car crash, but I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to think about the fact that, I'm here worrying about the other consequences of life. If on the flip side, if you're just like, oh my God, I'm going to car crash, my life is over, blah, 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 you're not doing yourself any favors either. I'm not saying that being negative is or having negative mindset is the way to go. What I'm saying to you is that only focusing on the positive is not the way to go, because it reinforces the negative mindset. So you want to shift your paradigm. You need to learn how to be in these situations. We need to learn, excuse me, I need to stop saying you, we, because I'm doing this with you. We need to learn how to react to situations. We need to learn that the adversity and that the obstacles that we face are what's going to make us. They are what, as Sabrina would call, they are our growth opportunities. No matter what the situation is, there's always going to be a growth opportunity. No matter what you do in life, there's always going to be sadness. There's always going to be anger. There's always going to be loss. There's always going to be something that we consider to be negative in our lives. We can choose to ignore it, but as a change the fact, it's still going to be there. So, that being said, I'm going to wrap this all up. Learn from the bad experiences. Learn to be. We need to learn to take our egos, because honestly, a lot of depressed people, our ego and our entitled mindset are large reasons why we are the way we are. So we can take that ego up. We need to work on that ego. We need to work on that entitlement. We need to understand that things are going to happen that we don't like. We need to understand that we get to where we need to get to by learning from the things that has happened that have given us pause, that have stopped us in our tracks. Okay? And the more we pursue just good feeling and pleasure and things like that, the more we're gonna need it to maintain that high, that positivity. Going back to me drinking and it's in the sex thing from the last video, me pursuing that happiness through those things, I had to keep doing it. Then I do more of it in order for me to get to where I need to get, in order for me to feel happy or feel that high. And pretty much the idea of this is not so much to get a high, but it's to learn to be able to deal with bad situations and be able to be content in yourself, content in your life, content in what you're doing. Okay? So, that's what I'm going to leave you with. This is probably one of my more interesting videos, because honestly, I'm quite surprised by how it turned out. But I hope to catch you, and I hope that we learn some things. I actually had somebody tell me that the way that I go about things, they don't agree with. and but they understand where I'm coming from, and that's the kind of conversation I want to have. So if this doesn't apply to you, okay, fine. If this does apply to you, okay, fine. But I want to hear about what you think. Okay, have a great day. Bye.